Cool.
Live and drum and bass. Yeah. I mean, like, where are you? We've got to pick the kids up. We probably wouldn't be picking kids up at this time.
No, I hope not.
No. All right. Hello, people. I don't know which camera I'm looking at right now. I might look at this one. Hello, everybody. It is the first ever in real life overviewed right now, right here, today, for you, coming live and direct. I don't think we're going to be live right now. This is going to be post-edited and uploaded to YouTube. And yeah, kind of had this concept to do a bit of a live podcast for a little bit. I obviously do the podcast every month and have done a few interviews. Haven't done an interview for a little bit. So wanted to kind of mix things up and actually invite some people within the drum and bass scene into my home and interview them live and just have a bit of a chat, have some fun. And I have got a very, very special guest for you today. He is none other than Levela, all the way from Crawley, Mr. Releasing all around the scene in drum and bass. Give it up.
Hey.
Woo, woo, woo.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to be here.
In your humble abode.
In my humble abode.
The Overview headquarters. It's nice.
Yeah, no, mate. Well, like I said, I've not properly done anything like this. We're gonna put on my like radio voice right now. You got to like put on your podcast voice.
Yeah,
You told me that you've never actually done a podcast.
I haven't. No, first one.
Why not? Why have you not? You've not been.
I don't know. I never got invited onto one until this.
Right.
And I never got around to setting my own up. So it's just one area of media that I never explored before.
Well, we're gonna have some fun anyway. Yeah. I promise that I'm not gonna be too. I mean, I feel like we've known each other. I mean, for anybody that does or doesn't know, we grew up pretty close to each other, really. You are. Let me go on because I do want to have a little bit of a backstory. Because, like I said, we know each other.
Yeah.
But we're like drum and bass friends.
Yes.
In a way, but you're from Crawley. But are you actually from Crawley?
Yeah. Born
and bred.
Yeah. Never moved.
Never moved.
No.
And he's still there. We're still there.
Still in creepy Crawley.
And well, if anyone that does care, not a lot of people do care. I am from Horsham.
Yeah.
Which historically there is a little bit of a Horsham Crawley.
Yeah, there's a
thing.
bit of a weird like rivalry. It's like a friendly rivalry.
It can be friendly. Sometimes it can be a bit not friendly. But I also, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one. I mean, we don't need to totally get into so this isn't a podcast.
Two tiny little towns that most people have never heard of. So
no, to say that, a lot of people have heard of Crawley.
Yeah, it's mainly because of the Gatwick link, because obviously we're right next to Gatwick. So
yeah.
People have heard of it normally.
How was Crawley growing up? Like, as I said, I want to have a little bit of a sort of start from you.
Yeah.
What was your upbringing and all that?
Pretty standard. Youngest of three, got an older brother and older sister.
Right.
Grew up in Crawley, and it was just a normal council house childhood, I guess. Yeah.
Right. So you grew up in a council house
until a certain point. Yeah.
Did your parents buy it, or
yeah, eventually.
In the end?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Good old Thatcher gives him the.
Yeah, and then nothing really extravagant happened in my life until about 10 or 11. I was going to go into the story of my life now. Yeah,
no, this is your life. This is Levela's life right now. This is what we're doing.
So, yeah, I must have been about 10 or 11, and I had a little tape boombox thing in my bedroom, and my mum lent me I've got rummaging through my mum's collection of tapes. Bear in mind, she's an old school raver.
Okay.
She was, her and her sister, my auntie, them two together were part of the original rave circuit, so they were racing around the M25 to the phone boxes to find out where the illegal raves were. She was like deep in that rave culture.
Right.
So then she had a bunch of old like tapes and stuff of artists I'd never heard of. And I remember just one day just like going through them, just listening. There's like Celine Dion and Cher, and then a bunch of stuff I'd never heard of. And I was like, oh, what's this one? Let's try that. And it was The Prodigy, The Experience. Whacked it in, and I don't know, it was just like this moment of, what the fuck is this? Like I've not heard anything like this before, and it was, yeah, it blew my mind a little bit. And then I remember blasting louder and louder. And my mum remember coming in the room, and she's like, you listen to this, you like it? And I remember her eyes lighting up, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. And and she's like, oh, right, so if you like that, you'll like this, and you like this. And she's giving me all these old school rave tapes, and that was my first introduction to dance music of any kind, really. And
wow.
I fell in love, like, instantly. Prodigy still to this day are my idols, and yeah, I love everything they did, and the way that they just kind of took the rave scene by doing something that no one else has done. It's just artistically, they're like up there for me.
Right.
Almost gods. So
You're saying your first. I mean, that's an entry point right there.
yeah, that's the experience.
At being 10.
Yeah, that's when 10. I'm 10 or 11. Yeah, and then it was my older brother eventually kind of got into DJing, and he was the one that got his first set of decks. Again, I was still only 10 or 11 at the time, and he'd be in the room next door blasting music. I wasn't allowed in there. I was irritated, annoyed little brother. But my mum is so supportive of me and always has been, of my music and everything. So whenever my brother was out, my mum was like, all right, come on, let's go up and sneak on the decks and you can have a little play around. So brother would never let me near him. He's like, no, you'll scratch the decks and you'll scratch the needles. And yeah, he wouldn't let me sit near him. So it was only while he was out, I kind of learned the basics of what decks do and how two tunes blend into each other. And it was all old school garage back then. That's all my brother used to mix. So that's what I learned to DJ on. Was secret 12-10 sessions when my brother wasn't in the house.
And this was again being
I was 11, yeah, about 11, and then because I was doing that for a while, and I kind of self-taught how to DJ and how to beat match, and then my brother kind of gave up. He just moved on to something else, passed his decks down to me when I was like 13 or so, 12, 13, and then I was on them religiously, like all day, every day. Any bit of pocket money I can get, I'm straight into London to Big Apple Records in Croydon to get the latest garage vinyls. And yeah, I loved it. I was encapsulated in the whole DJ culture. And I remember getting like DJ Magazine and Knowledge Magazine at the time and all the old mags, anything that I could get a hold of to immerse myself further into the DJ scene, I was doing. And I was just like some 12, 13-year-old kid. And it weren't until, do you remember the Hard to Find Records catalogues?
No, this is a bit before my time.
Right,
Go on.
So Hard to Find Records was a massive record store in Birmingham, and they used to send out a monthly catalogue of all the new releases in. There's a bunch of adverts in there as well. I remember seeing one that was, I think it was called like Live Expo or something in Birmingham. And I begged my mum to take me there because they was advertising all this DJ equipment, and it was like the way this advert was made.
Biggest convention ever.
Yeah, it was like, if you're a DJ, you have to be here.
Yeah.
I was begging my mum, and she reluctantly agreed to take me. Went up there. I don't remember much. I was like 12, 13 at the time, but I do remember discovering EJ, the old dance software, like entry-level production stuff. And I remember sitting there. They had all these like demos set up, and I was just playing around with it. I was like, "Oh, mum, look, I've made a track in 10 minutes," and I was just putting loops together and stuff, basically. And then she ended up buying me a copy of Dance EJ, and that was it. That was the moment I was like, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to make music. Every minute of my life, I just want to create. And that's how I kind of got into music and now in the production side of things. And then obviously progressed into Fruity Loops 3, I think was the first one I got. And never looked back, basically.
I mean, that is quite a saying. I mean, quite maybe coincidental, maybe that's not coincidental, I don't know. But obviously to have your mum be that massive influence and then, find that at that early age. Yeah. And you just knew that was all you wanted to do then. Yeah,
I felt I found my calling. And I remember the first time I actually heard drum and bass, and my brother come home one day, and he was still, even though the decks were in my room, if he was bored, he'd have a play on them around and stuff, and he'd sometimes buy new records. And one day he come home with his track, and it was like, I was thinking it was just going to be a garage track. Put it on, and it was like, this is fast. What the hell's going on here? And then it was, and then I was just listening to it, and I'd never heard, because obviously garage, I was mixing Flowers into like all the old school garage classics, like typical cheesy stuff. And then he played this track with this really like ominous dark intro, and out of nowhere it is the dun 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 dun, Body Rock from Andy C and Shimon, and it was that, and it was the first tune drum and bass track I ever heard.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is like everything I love about garage, but faster and heavier, and it's got more weight to it. And from that moment, then I was like, fuck garage, I'm a drum and bass guy now.
Right.
Just off the back of that track.
Did you then like start meeting other people in Crawley or going further afield? Like, did you build up a bit of a crew at that age? Or?
No. See, that's the only thing.
Did it solo?
There was nobody. I think there was at the time there were probably 3 people in the entire town of Crawley that had even heard of drum and bass. It's so unheard of at the time. I had one friend in the school who was an MC, so we kind of hung out together. He'd come around and we'd record mixtapes for friends in school, and him MCing and me DJing, and it was just kind of me and him really. We ended up we stuck together.
You were known as the kids at school. It's like, that's the DJ.
We were the annoying music kids. Yeah. So and that was it. We kind of just rolled together for a few years,
Right.
But yeah, there wasn't really much of a scene in Crawley. I didn't know anybody else that even knew what D&B was. So yeah, it was all just self-taught.
I mean, to be honest with you, obviously, even my kind of knowledge being from Horsham, there wasn't a lot, because I knew you, and it was like, you're the guy in Crawley, but
Nothing going on in Crawley.
Yeah.
To the point, even we tried to set up some events a few years back now, and that flopped. It's
just always a little surprising in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just no demand for it. But I mean, more so now, I think, obviously with drum and bass being so commercially successful at the moment, you can hear cars driving down, blasting D&B, and it's all the TikTok.
So maybe try and do another night in Crawley again.
Yeah, it might be time to start trying to build a scene there.
They did have, I swear there was a guy, I know, going off on a bit of a tangent, but there was a guy, they did try to do a few nights.
Yes.
And they were quite successful. You played?
Yeah, I did play a couple of them, yeah, because he done the same venue that we tried it at. Right. Ours didn't work because the venue blew the subwoofers like about 20 minutes before we opened on the sound test. And we had Nicky Blackmarket down for the event, and he walked in and was like, "Oh, it's a nice drum and tops event you've got going on." Because there was just no bass at all. It was just tinny music. Yeah, and we had like 40 people in there listening to the tinniest stuff. But yeah, Josh, he was someone that tried again to grow the scene. He was more consistent than we was with it. He'd done like 4 or 5 events, and yeah, they were popular. And then I'm not too sure. I think he just kind of moved interest into something else.
Yeah.
But there's potential there. It's something that, I mean, it's a big enough town. We've got over 100,000 people.
I mean, well, you've got obviously from then the surrounding areas as well.
Of course, you've got
taking in Horsham people and Crawley and no, we are going. A lot of
This is
people are going to be like, "What are you talking about, guys? We've got no idea where this is."
Right. Let's forget about Crawley and Horsham. No one knows where it is.
So obviously, so going back to you then, you know, obviously finding your decks. You're saying starting production. What age was this starting production then?
I mean, I got that
13,
EJ
14?
program at 13. And yeah, I'm 33 now, so it's 20 years since my first.
How long until your first release then?
First release came out when I was 16.
Right.
Yeah, so about 3 years on FL Studio. Just learning. I mean, the track was obviously awful, but
what's it called? Where can people go find it?
I'm not going to reveal that.
were you always called Levela from that point, or
no? Actually, the first release was under a different name. I'm not going to reveal it. It is on YouTube with like 12 views, and I don't want anyone else to hear it. So, but yeah, that was my first release, and yeah, it took me a while before I kind of developed Levela after that.
Where was the inspiration from? Again, more cliche things, but where was the inspiration for the name Levela?
Honestly, there's no fun story behind it. I was looking for a DJ name. Someone suggested it as, Levela is a cool word. And I was like, yeah, it is. And it just never left me. Right. So it just kind of stuck. There's no great meaning behind it, unfortunately.
Oh, it's okay. They can't always be.
Sorry, there's not a good story behind that one.
So yeah, you said first release at like 16. Then did you start then releasing constantly from that point?
So by that point we were in the MySpace era, when you could start putting little clips of songs on.
I'd love to see some of your MySpace profile press shots.
I think they're still online. Oh mate, my first ever press shot, I was asked for one for something, and my mum took a picture of me wearing a shirt at the top of the stairs with headphones around my neck. Like I must have been 15, 16, and I've still got the picture now. It's so cringe.
I would love to see this. I'm not gonna lie.
We'll put it as the thumbnail for this YouTube video.
There we go.
So yeah, my first sort of introduction to working out the industry, I guess, was the MySpace stage, when I was putting up my productions on the page, and every artist had a MySpace page, and you could inbox them. And I was like, before that, I was sneaking into raves with fake ID just to catch a glimpse of these DJs and hear the music live. And then when MySpace came out, it was okay. You've got a direct connection to these. Because, yeah, at the time, artists were mysterious. You didn't know anything about them other than the music you hear, or if you go and watch them play, you'll see them for an hour. That's it. Whereas now, everyone's got Twitter and Instagram, so everyone's so open. But back then, it was real hard to get hold of DJs. And I remember I used to having to stand outside the club, waiting for I'd leave 10 minutes before the DJ's finished, to stand outside, wait for them to come out so I could hand them a CD. Right. And we're doing that a bunch of times down in Brighton. But yeah, sorry, again, off the tangent.
No, please, it's great.
MySpace, yeah. So then I realised you could send people stuff on MySpace, and I just sent my music out to like all of my favourite DJs on MySpace. A couple of messages back and stuff, but the first one was Fantasy. It was the first person to hit me back and was like, okay, you got some ideas here. And yeah, I worked with him for 4 years. 4 years, I think it was.
Which label? Was
Easy Records.
Easy. Okay, right. Yeah.
Back when he was running that. And yeah, he linked me up with, I'd done tunes with Skibber and Harry Shotter. And yeah, I was like driving around. My mum was driving me around to places just to watch Fantasy sets so I could hear my music in a club situation.
Wicked.
I remember the first time ever was sent Fantasy a bunch of new tunes, and he was playing at the Concord for Devotion that same night. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna play a couple of these tracks tonight. Begged my mum to take me down there. She just drove me down to Concord, snuck in with fake ID. My cousin, who looks identical to me but 4 years older, so he used his ID. Got in and Fantasy played my tune, and I remember being at the front of the crowd. My mum was sitting down at the back of Concord because she's too old for this now. But I was down the front, and I remember hearing the tune drop, and then Skibbity pulled it up and got a reload, and I ran from the front of the club all the way to the back just to scream at my mum, my song's got a reload, and ran straight back to the front to hear it drop again. And that was the first time I ever heard my music in a club, and it was through Fantasy. And yeah, my first release was through Fantasy as well. That was a track called Dub Style with Funster on it.
You will allow people to know that one then?
Yes, that was actually my first official Levela release.
Okay.
I think it was. I think so, yeah. I think it was my first vinyl. I've got the vinyl at home as well.
Right, yeah. I suppose this era, everything was pressed.
Yeah, and that was the other issue that was of trying to produce then. It had to be at a certain level. You couldn't just put anything out then because there's a lot of money invested in vinyl and stuff. So this was long before digital releases was even a thing. But yeah, so I had a couple of releases out on Fantasy's label, and then that's when the digital age came in. I remember Fantasy calling me and was like, right, we're going to do like this digital only. I'm like, what the hell? Like, how can you release music without having it on vinyl? That doesn't make sense. And it just kind of went against everything I knew about the music industry. Yeah. And he was like, no, digital music, this is the future, it's going to take over. I was like, all right, well, I'm a kid, you're been in the scene for, you know what it's all about. Okay, let's do a digital release. And that was an EP called Fire for Them.
I remember that.
And that was my first
ever. A big EP. Right?
It was Noisy Jump Up.
I mean,
it's very Noisy Jump Up.
Was it Envy? Wasn't it?
Envy, yeah. That was the MC I grew up with in Crawley.
Oh, it was really.
Yeah, so it was always me and him. Levela and Envy was kind of like the duo in school as the only music kids. But yeah, I don't really know what he's up to now. I've not spoken to him in a while. But that was kind of my first releases and working with Fantasy.
I mean, that's got to be 2009, I want to say.
Probably around that, yeah.
I feel like, yeah.
What are we now? 2023, Jesus. Yeah, it probably could be about 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It was my first release, proper Levela, like the start of the Levela journey anyway.
And that got, I mean, obviously these were getting supported by a lot of people as well. Like,
Again, you don't really know back then. You didn't have promo sheets and feedback sheets, and
you didn't have videos from raves.
Exactly. You didn't have videos or the like the Instagram posts with your feedback on, so you don't really know. I remember Fantasy telling me that he sent the music out, and he was like, "Oh yeah, DJ Hype really likes this track," and this was at AIM time as well. So we had AIM, and we could chat to DJs on AIM. And we're jumping straight on. I was like, "Oh, Hype! I hear that you like my track," and yeah, it was like Fantasy called me. He was like, don't like hassle these artists. Right? He's just he likes it. He didn't need 12 messages from you. It's like, oh, okay, right, learn the lesson then. Don't hassle artists.
Yeah.
And I learned the hard way. But yeah, and that was my entry into the start of the Levela journey, I guess, was those first releases on Easy that kind of set me up for just the jump up journey I went on for a long time.
I mean, obviously that is your initial into the scene. You would like real jump up. Obviously multifunction as well. I mean, in what sort of time did you start putting on events? Because you've obviously been an event promoter now for a long time.
Yeah, been a very long time. So what happened then? I was working in a bank at the time, and I must have been 18 by then. And I remember working in the bank, whenever we used to order people bank cards, because this was, again, I'm showing my age. But
all these 18-year-old kids are going to be like, what are these old people talking about?
So it was just when chip and pin was invented, and these new cards had chips in them. And when we had to order people's, they were called a multifunction card because they had multiple uses. And I just remember sitting there bored at work one day going, multifunction music, that's not a cool name for a brand or something. And then, it just always stuck with me. And then eventually I set it up as a label and was like, I had all this music that Fantasy didn't want to put out, sort of stuff he'd said no to that I still really liked and I wanted an outlet for it. I never really sent demos to any other labels. I just kind of done everything in-house. So the first few multifunction releases were me, and then we had Voltage's first ever release was like multifunction number 4.
What, his first ever
Wow.
That's
single, yeah. And then we had another couple of tracks from Voltage. Yeah, and like I said, it just kind of grew into this platform to put Jump Up music out on. Initially, it was just for my stuff, and then I've got a few other friends in the game that I met through MySpace and AIM, and yeah, I was putting out other music from other people, and it was going good. And then a promoter in Brighton hit me up and was like, "Have you ever done an event with your label?" I was like, "Nope, it's something I'd love to do. Just had no idea how to do it." So we linked up with another promoter.
Which promoter was that? Of interest?
It was Serotonin.
Oh, really?
Serotonin,
Billy?
yeah.
No, not what?
Kyle.
Oh, yeah, Kyle
And Brad, yeah. So it was
Okay,
them
right.
that done the first ever multifunction event, and it went really well. We went pure Jump Up. I think we had Magistrate and X-Man headlining, and yeah, it was absolutely rammed. And then that's when I met I think Ross was manager at the time,
Yeah.
the Vogues, and then we got chatting, and he was like, one thing led to another. We was chatting back and forth for a while online and stuff, and he was like, "Why don't you do this event thing on your own? Like, you don't have to link up with another promoter. We'll give you a date to do it yourself." I was like, "Okay, cool," and then done it. And again, I just rammed it with as much Jump Up as possible because that was all I cared about at the time. I was so blinkered to Jump Up. I didn't like even other labels like Critical or anything like that. I had no idea about what they were doing at the time.
No,
I was Jump Up, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so we were just throwing raves, and people were just getting busy. We were doing whatever we put on, it was selling out for about 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
Multifunction events from the first 7 or 8 years, it was just every event done well, and we were on to a winning formula. And I don't really know what that formula was. It kind of like made itself the more we worked at it. And then by the end of the 8 years, we was just like, okay, we know what we're doing. It's kind of like, yeah, event after event after event, and it was just growing and growing. Yeah, and again, I've got off on a tangent. I
suppose you being the producer, kind of with releasing music as well. I feel like that was quite different, maybe for that era. Obviously, I don't know.
What, he putting music out on the label?
Yeah, and having a night, and that probably then feeding into the night and creating a community around it, maybe for sort of filling a gap in the market, I guess.
Well, at the time, I knew very little about the industry and the scene, like how things really worked. I had this baby of multifunction that I can put music out, and I can throw parties, and they work, and people are sending me demos because they want to release on the label, and we were getting top of the New Urban charts at the time, long before Beatport was around, but D&B never got in the Beatport charts back then. And it was this thing, and I was just riding the wave. I didn't really know where it was going. I didn't really have any goals or ambitions. I was just having fun, making music, putting it out on my label. I never sent demos to anyone else. I just, oh yeah, cool, I've made 4 tracks that I like. Boom, let's do an EP next month. And I just done that repeatedly for years and years. And then suddenly it started spilling into offers to play shows in other countries, and yeah, and it just kind of like, wow, I can actually, you're offering me that much money to go to Spain and play music that I love making and playing. I was like, absolutely, I'm there. And it just kind of just rolled, and then eventually got a first agent when things were getting busy, and yeah, it literally just snowballed from there. I never really had any goal or direction. I was just riding the wave.
Did you think that you could do it as a full-time career, or again, it wasn't a full...
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't at the time, because I had a daughter when I was quite young. I was 18 when I had my daughter,
right,
and I got a full-time job in the bank because I needed to provide. Yeah. And yeah, I worked at the bank. I was there for about 5 years. Really long story short, I got accused of gross misconduct for something at the bank. I called into the office, and they were like, right, while we investigate, we're going to suspend you on full pay while we investigate. And in that time, I had like 3 months off, and then I'd had to like turn down shows because I'd work at the bank on a Saturday. So back in my mind, I'm like, right, okay, I've got 3 months now where I'm still getting paid. I'm just going to make as much music as I possibly can. And in that time, I made like, 50 tracks or something. Wow. And I just, every morning, I treated it as a full-time job. And then, yeah, I was making money from it. I was selling tracks to certain labels or whatever and doing bits and bobs to earn money. And I was like, actually, now I've been given this opportunity that I can focus full time. And for a few months at least, finances wasn't a worry because I was still getting on the salary. I was like, okay, I could do this. And then I went in for my hearing. They found out it wasn't me that done something I got accused of. I got told, okay, we found out it wasn't you. Go back to work tomorrow. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And then I was there and then. I was
What
like,
did you tell him? Did you tell him at the
I couldn't at the time because I couldn't. I was at the head
You're
office.
gonna do like a whole like dramatic like I ain't going back,
Chucking my badge in.
yeah.
No, it was in the head office at the time, so I couldn't. But the next day, I handed my notice into my old boss. I was like, yeah, I'm done. For the shit they put me through. Because I remember it was like 2 days before Christmas. I got
really right.
Yeah, and it was sort of like a really dark period. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it turned out that if I just work full time in music, I can make enough money off this to survive. And my wife, again, super supportive. She was always like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we'll set you up a little office in the corner and you can work from home. And yeah, and that was 14 years ago. And I've not had another job since. I've kind of made music work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's inspiring to hear, and I think inspiring for people, especially being in that kind of position as well. And you've got to provide for a family as well. You've got
two kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's well off topic, but another thing on top of that is my son's was born with a really rare brain condition.
Right.
Yeah. So he's in a wheelchair. He can't talk or walk. He's in specialist schools, and he's 24/7 care with him. Which me and my wife are very on top of, and he's 8 now. So yeah, I was not just sort of normal parenting, kid duties. It's a carer, pretty much. Between me and my wife, we're full-time carers as well as trying to run our businesses and stuff that we do on the side. So it is a lot. Like it's heavy, and there's always something to worry about, and yeah, so there's a lot to do.
I mean, I guess with then kind of your career now, I mean, obviously you're away a lot of the weekends, but I guess the fact that you're around a lot during the week, you're now available to help in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. So Monday to Friday, me and my wife, we are, like, I've been with my wife 18 years. We've met in the school playground, kind of never been apart. So we're rock solid, and we are a proper team. And through her support, I am allowed to do, I get to allow to do what I want to do and work the way I want to work. And we smash the parenting between us. Like we've got a really good, healthy working relationship. Because my wife also runs a children's charity as well. So she's always busy with that and with the music as well and the kids. So it's non-stop. But yeah, it's allowed us to. Well, my wife always supported me for so long, allowing me to try music as a career and like I said, allow me to travel the amount I do. I'm barely home at the weekends. I normally say goodbye on a Friday morning and I'm back Sunday night. Majority of weekends. But I work from home Monday to Friday. I'm in the studio and my studio's at home, so I am always about. It works. Whatever we're doing, it just works.
No, I mean, again, like, hats off to be in that position, I guess. And I guess it makes it more real or serious, I don't know, maybe, or like, again, treating it as a proper job. And
I have to discipline myself because it's too easy to have a day off, and it's too easy just to get up and go, I can't be asked today. But you know that if there could be a missed opportunity or something that I could have done on that day that could have led to a huge thing that I didn't do. And that's the mentality I had for so long, was every minute not being productive or working towards something is wasted time. That was my mentality for a very long time. And it's got me this far because I do have like a relentless work ethic. Every spare minute, if I'm not in the studio, I'm doing something to do with the businesses or running the events or whatever. So yeah, it is it's a non-stop job if you want to try and make something in this industry, because you can say, I want to DJ forever, but DJ on its own, unless you're top tier, isn't going to provide you a regular income. Being a producer on its own isn't necessarily, unless you're selling hundreds of thousands of units. But where I've had the label for so long, I do the events and then the DJ side, the remix work, the sample packs. There's like 7 or 8 different income streams within my job. So yeah, if there's a particular month that gigs are low, then I can work on something else that's going to earn. And there's always different ways that I've learned that you can earn from this industry if you work hard enough at it, basically. So yeah, I guess. Sorry, I keep going off on.
No, it's really.
That is we mentioned before we even press record, but that is a thing to future artists that want to look to come into this industry, or if they see DJs on videos on TikTok or whatever and they go, I want to have a go at that. Like, if you want to do it for fun, absolutely get involved. It's real fun to be involved in this music. If you want to turn it into a career, it's hard work, as you know yourself, like running the label and everything else you do.
Yeah,
it's constant. You got to always be doing something, always eye on the next prize, or already planning for that next move. And yeah, it is a relentless job to make it work in this industry.
I mean, it's sort of like it's sort of said about you give up a 9 to 5 to take on a 24/7 in a way. Like
absolutely.
Like, I mean, I'll touch on it because I think I did sort of say to talk on it as well. I mean, obviously we're talking about your progression, but I know that you sort of said recently that you had been feeling the pressure or the end of last year. I don't know. I don't have to like. I don't know how much to say or whatever.
No, I mean I've always kind of been very like sound-minded. I've not really had any issues with mental health. I'm very fortunate in that sense for the longest time. COVID really changed things. I don't know. I can't really pinpoint what it was, but the whole 2 years where everything I knew and loved was just flipped on its head, taken away from you, and yeah, you've got to fend for yourself now. I was like, music's all I'm good at. All I know is how to DJ and stuff, and that was your primary income. And when it strips away, I was lost for a long time, and obviously not traveling because I was relentlessly I've been pretty much touring for like 14 years since I got my first international show. I don't think I've ever had longer than like 2 months where I haven't had a gig. Right. It's just been relentlessly busy. And it got to so COVID really changed my mindset. So when we come back from COVID and gigs started again, I had this weird, like nervous, anxious energy before a show. Like the day before the show, if I knew that I've got to get on a plane tomorrow to go to some random town in Germany for a show, the day before I'm like itchy. I'm like, Mrs. is like, you're right. I'm like, no, I'm really worried about this flight tomorrow, but I've done a flight a million times. There's nothing to worry about. I don't know why I feel this way. And it was just getting back into the swing of gigging after COVID. Really like, yeah, I don't know quite how to explain it, but I didn't enjoy the traveling process. No one enjoys traveling anyway, but I always just saw it as part and parcel of the job. You got to get on a flight, you got to travel, you got to sit in a car for a couple of hours. But then post-COVID, it was like, I really don't want to do that. And it wasn't like a conscious decision because I knew that I wanted to go and play shows. I want to go. That's all I've wanted for 2 years was to get back out and do my job. But the traveling, I was just super anxious about it. And that lasted for about a year.
Really?
Yeah. Every gig I'd done last year, I'd have some level of worry or something's going to go wrong. And I remember actually one of the first big gigs back I'd done after COVID was Let It Roll on tour. I think it was the last ever Noisier show in Czech Republic, and I was playing straight after him.
Straight after Noisier.
Straight after Noisier.
No pressure.
This was literally about 3 months after COVID, like after we reopened. Okay, yeah. So I think I played Volks a couple of times. I've done a few shows, but then this was like 7,000 people in a huge warehouse. I'm standing side of the stage, and like Noisier's on their final 10 minutes. And I'm like shaking, I'm pacing up and down. I was going to the toilet thinking I might be sick. This is 10 minutes before my set. And I've never experienced anything like it. I remember like, I was trying to text my missus and call her. I was like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm like, I don't think I can go and play. Like I physically feel like
I'm bad.
Yeah, I physically feel it. But I'm like, trying to pep talk myself. I'm like, come on, like this is stupid. I've done this. I've done this a million times. I know what I'm doing. Why do I feel like this? And I still to this day can't really pinpoint what it was that caused that. But
were you fine when you got on, or were you still?
Yeah, 2 tunes in, I'm absolutely fine. Right. First, I remember Noisy's like because it was my time that played at the time, and he was like on the mic doing thank you, we love you, end of Noisier, and then passed me the mic, and I'm like shaking, I'm supposed to be sick, and I'm like. I'm not. No. Leave it. And my son's like, "You're not a mic guy." Then I was like, "Absolutely not. Like, not right now." Yeah, 3 tunes in, I'm make some noise. Yeah. So that first couple, it's all it was. As soon as I remember, like trying to press play on my first tune, and my hands shaking, and I said, "Yeah, it was really odd." But then, I say a couple of tracks in, all the nerves just seem to go, and you remember, like, "Oh no, actually, this is just like riding a bike. I know what I'm doing."
So you said this was happening. This still carried on for a while.
Yeah. I mean, and that Let It Roll show was end of last year, I think it was. So then that kind of like started the anxiousness, I guess, with traveling. And then it was kind of all last year. Every time I'd have a gig, I remember saying to my missus, I was like, do I need to do this show? I don't really want to travel. I feel really funny and I don't want to go to the airport. And and then I just, for the longest time, I was in that mindset. I don't really know why. And then eventually, I think I did a show only a couple of months ago. I can't remember where I was somewhere abroad. And I remember coming back the next day, and I said to my missus, I was like, I didn't feel any worry about doing that. That's the first time I've got on a plane in 3 years and not worried about it. And then from then, I've been fine. So for somehow the anxiety just disappeared.
Yeah, that's odd. I mean, I don't know whether or not because you took that such a long break.
Yeah.
I could have just I don't know. It was like
I said I couldn't
reset
really,
you in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know, you had to learn it again in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't really explain it or pinpoint exactly what it was that made me feel like that. But it was, I don't know, that was only a few months ago. And the last few months, it was like I had a really busy end to the year as well. I think I was doing so many shows out every weekend for like 4 months straight over
like back-to-back shows.
Yeah, I think it was this summer that we've just had, from the start of summer till about a month ago, or what's that, even longer, about a 6-7 month period. I think I had like 1 weekend off. I had a crazy busy summer of festivals. I'm 3 weeks in Australia and New Zealand as well in that time. And that was like 10 gigs or 9 gigs in 3 weeks as well. So it was really busy and relentless touring. And then every time I'd get home on a Sunday, I'd get a few hours sleep and I'm back in the office at 9 a.m. Monday morning. I'm back in my studio working tunes, and I was doing that until the minute I need to leave the following Friday to go to the airport again. And it was pretty much like a 24/7 working. If I wasn't asleep, I was in the studio or flying or out with the kids or whatever. But taking family, kids stuff aside, it was just non-stop work. And I got to a point, it was like the beginning of December, I was just dead. I was burnt out. I was waking up in the morning and like, I have nothing left to give for today. Like, I can't even do anything. And our missus was like, right, let's just have a day off. Like, I haven't got work today. Let's just sit on the sofa. We'll just binge watch something on Netflix. Kids are at school. We'll have a day off. And then that day off was so nice. The next day we was like, let's be naughty. Let's have another day off. And yeah, that day off lasted 4 weeks. The entire month of December, I didn't step foot in my studio. I did as little as humanly possible for 4 weeks. And I felt I needed it. I really felt like it was helping. And it gave me time to, without constantly working on something or being involved on a project, it gave me time to actually just sit and think and reflect and plan and analyze. And yeah, that's just kind of what I'd done for that 4 weeks, was just sort of reassess where I want to go and what I want to do next and what my goals are. And I've started this year, like, I feel like a whole new man, honestly. Yeah, I feel like I've got this oomph in me that I lost at the end of last year. I was just, burnt out, and the break was really needed, and now I'm ready to go.
Levela's back.
I am back.
I mean, I guess it's that, again, it's interesting hearing, because I think it's almost like that regenerative, if that's even the right word, I don't know who said it, but that thing of, because I've been through it too myself, to be honest, and I kind of had a similar thing. I think, I mean, probably not quite that extreme, because although I've been starting to learn to tour, that intensity is unbelievable. I mean, I think I remember when even a couple of shows that we did, I can't remember where it was, where you played in the Netherlands and then got a flight back, and then I swear you had to go somewhere like to play in Nottingham and then come back and then play in Bristol, and you've done it on like
I remember that.
Very little sleep.
Yeah,
and
we was together on that Netherlands show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember doing the Netherlands show for Waze's event, wasn't it? So we done, the overview event with Waze. Yeah, so we've done that. Yeah, and then I remember coming home, landing, driving for 4 hours to Nottingham, done the show, drive 4 hours back to Brighton because we was hosting the Critical event in Brighton. So I played there, and it was like 3 sets in 24 hours.
Well, that was it.
And it was, and that's kind of like, not a standard weekend, but that happens a lot in the year. Sometimes you can get 2-3 shows a year where it's just non-stop flying or traveling or in the car, 2 hours sleep a night because you've got to carry on to the next place. And and as like you said, as you're coming into it, you realize how mentally and physically knackering it is just doing one show.
And then, like, again, you're talking about people, talking about getting involved in this industry and what's actually required. Like, that's the other side of it. And then, like you're saying, then you're not allowing yourself to have any time off.
No.
And there's a breaking point. I think there's a breaking point for anybody. We're only human. You're not like,
absolutely.
You are pretty impressive. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not sitting there like stroking your ego too much, but to have that and everything that you're doing. And I know what it's like. And I know that feeling, like you feel like I can't have time off. I've got to keep on going. But, and that obviously that does, like you're saying, help you achieve so much, but then it's like, and obviously, learn the kind of hard way.
Yeah, it was getting out of that lazy period that I struggled with, because joking to my missus, I was like, "Do you know what? I think we should just sign on and be on the dole. I can live this lifestyle. I could do this." We were just ordering McDonald's for lunch every day and sitting on the sofa just binging. I think we completed Netflix in that month. Like, that's all we did. And I was kind of like.
But then when have you have not done that?
No, I'd never
done.
Never. Like, I might have had the odd week holiday with the kids or whatever, but I've never actually just taken time off.
For you?
Yeah, and it was. I felt like I needed it, and I was forcing myself. There's times that in my industry you can't just have 4 weeks off, so I'm still doing emails on my phone or popping down to do the odd thing that I had to do. But yeah, I'd get in the studio and be like, "Oh, I don't even like it in here anymore," and "Oh no, quick send that email. I've got to send a file or something," and then I'm back on the sofa, and I felt. Yeah, it was really naughty. Really, like, me and the missus going to look at each other. It's like, I feel like I'm cheating myself by doing this because I should be working. But like I said, the benefits that I felt like I've had from having that little break definitely made it worthwhile.
So my next question to you is it now making you think about going forward, and are you already planning like changes?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
yeah.
No, I'm just gonna work.
Yeah, no. I am. I mean, I was thinking like plans as in my career. I've planned a lot in my head. Like, I know what I want to be doing for the next year and where I want my sound to go. And that sense, I've got very clear-headed now. Like, for the longest time, I was lost. I mean, I feel like we could go back on that.
We can do this.
We can go back on it. But I mean, to understand that the change in my sound that happened like 4 or 5 years ago. And the point before that, I was doing the jump up stuff for so long, and I know that is really off topic from what your question was.
No.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that. No, I was just going to say, are you thinking consciously now about giving yourself more time off?
Yeah. My missus has said, my missus has told me that if I've got a gig that weekend, she's making me have the Monday off. So she's like, "You are not going to go straight back into the office first thing Monday morning when you don't get home till Sunday night." And I was like, "Yeah, I need that." Because, I do need just to wind down.
Yeah, I mean, either have it off or start later on in the day.
Yeah, exactly. So
have a lazy Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. There's things we've done to put in place to kind of help not get us so burnt out. Yeah, my wife works ridiculously hard as well on her charity. And, we would both just got to a point at the end of the year and everyone was miserable, cost of living crisis and all that. It was just one of them, like, we need some time off.
Okay, so going into the next question about your sound, because we nearly touched on it, and I know that is definitely a subject that a number of people would be interested to know about, and I'm probably interested in it as well, is obviously going from Levela, being Levela Jump Up Levela, to now kind of an evolution and progression of your sound and moving away from that. I mean, I don't know when the last time you put a proper jump up release
was. Been a while. I couldn't even tell you when the last one was, to be honest. But so back in the multifunction days, as I said, I was just releasing loads of music of my own. Whatever jump up I made, if I wanted to put it out, I'd just fling it out. Done that for like 10 years, not 8-9 years with my own music. And to be honest, I would get after that 8 years in, I was like, bit bored of this now. I was going to the studio and going, all right, what riff am I going to make today? Because that's all effectively what I was doing, was just making wobbly, screechy jump up stuff. And at the time, like, I loved making it, and I do love the energy of jump up. I wouldn't always love jump up. I've got a real place in my heart for it. It really has. Love it. But I was just I'd been doing it for so long, and I felt like I'd exhausted my sound within jump up. I didn't really know what else I could add to it without just repeating the same thing over and over. And when I was having that kind of brainwave of like, right, well, where do I want to go next? What do I want to explore? That's when I decided to write an album. And my first album, it was called Genesis. It came out in 2017.
Yeah.
That, at the time, I was like, this is Levela showing what else I can do, spreading my wings. I'm not just jump up. I listen back to that album now, and I listen to an artist that has no idea what he wants to do. Right. So I listen to every one of those tracks on that album, and they're so disjointed. Like, individually in their own tracks, they're cool ideas. Like, production stuff was crap back then, but that's just where I've got a bit snobby now. But as a stylistic album, I listen back to it and I hear an artist that doesn't know who he wants to be. And that was the defining point for me where I changed everything. When I put that album out, and I remember getting some of the feedback sheets, and people were saying, other like DJs that I respected were like, this isn't you. This doesn't sound like Levela. This is not what I expected. I don't really know what this sounds like. I like that tune. I like that one. But the general consensus of the feedback was
How many tunes did you have on it?
I think it was like 17 because I was just
Yeah.
making loads of ideas, and then I was like, okay, well, I need that one on there to show that I can make a liquid track. I want to do this one because I want to show that I can make neurofunk, and it was just a really disjointed album. It was kind of like, yeah, I see that album release as like the end of Levela 1. Right, that
part
was,
one.
yeah, it was kind of like a line in the sand between that era of my career and like I loved that era. Like Jump Up, I toured the world doing Jump Up. I got to tour like South.
Setting you up to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, I got to do like Rampage a couple of times, 15,000 people with Multifunction. We've done I think the 5 years of Multifunction set there, and yeah, like I can't knock Jump Up and that sound. I still love it, and it as I've done tours of Australia and South America, and I went everywhere just playing Jump Up, and I would always have fond memories and a love for that sound and that period of my life. But it was after that album come out, I was like, right, okay, I need to focus on what I want to do. I don't know yet. I love the whole circumference of drum and bass. Like, I just love everything about drum and bass. I'm so immersed in this scene and this music that I don't have favorite genres or anything. Just a good tune is a good tune to me. And
Amen.
yeah, as I should be. And I was just trying to work out what I wanted to do. And I remember just I'm finding a cool sample of this girl breathing. And I was like, all right, let's just turn it into something. And I made 3 hours and I made Exhale, that track. And then that tune like changed everything for me. I remember making it on like a Friday. I think I sent it out to 10 DJs at the weekend. And then by the Tuesday, Noisier had put it on their Noisier radio show. And I was like, God, I only made the tune like 3 days ago. And it's like,
finished.
No, it was just initially, it was a one take. It took me 3 hours to make it. Oh my God, Noisier are playing it. Noisier have never played anything of mine. And then from that, I think I ripped it and put it on my SoundCloud. And then I was getting loads of messages from artists. Oh, can I have a copy? And labels were like, oh, is it signed? And I was like, what the hell? I've never had this response to any music I've ever made or ever done before. I was like, okay, maybe this is my calling then. Maybe this is the sound that I should delve deeper into. And it was, yeah, a bit more deeper, a bit more bit minimal-ish. But I was kind of, I feel like I had a Jump Up influence to a darker, techier sound. That was kind of, after Exhale done what it done, I was like, right, well, that's my angle then. And then, I remember Kazra done a top 10 on Beatport, and he put Exhale at the top. And I remember, and he followed me on Twitter, and I was like, this is critical music. They're like, that's nothing, not what I'm in. Like, I don't know why they'd be supporting my tracks. It's so far from what I'm used to doing. And then he followed me on Twitter, so I jumped in the DMs and I was like, easy mate, thanks for putting Exhale in your chart. Here's a folder of a load of new music I'm sitting on. And he replied was like, wow, are these unsigned? Can I please have them? And I was like, oh my God.
Easy as that.
Yeah, and I was like, I did never in a million years expect Critical to even pay attention to a Jump Up Levela, but it was that Exhale track that kind of turned everyone's perception of, I guess, me as an artist.
Gave you, like, quotation marks, credibility.
Yeah, which I didn't really have a lot of before, outside of the Jump Up scene.
Harsh.
No, I completely get what you mean, because outside of the Jump Up scene, I didn't really. I wasn't really looked at. I might have done like a few shows where I'd be the one Jump Up act amongst a load of other bigger names, and I'd always feel out of place. But it was that Exhale track that kind of like people took me seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
And it just took me to that next level, and then started working with Critical. Done like 3 EPs for them over the course of the next 18 months. And then done the release with Noisier's label as well. All that kind of come around that same time that I was just exploring darker, more menacing kind of stuff, as opposed to just screechy hands in the air Jump Up.
I'm trying to think when are we talking now? It's like 2017, 18?
2018. My album was 2017. I remember that. And then Exhale was the first release that came out after the album, which was the end of 2017. 2018 is when I started working with Critical.
I mean, I definitely think that was like the timing of it, I think, with a lot of the sound that the kind of the scene went on, this kind of like merging of like jump up influenced tech kind of. There was definitely a real, I think that was a real sort of point where a lot of that kind of came together.
Yeah, for
People
sure.
like Voltage and Serum and
there was
some of our lot as well, Clinical.
The music was really exciting around that time, and yeah, I still had like a jump up influence in me, and I wanted to kind of incorporate that into the darker sound, and people were liking what I was doing, so I just ran with that sound. And yeah, going on to like future plans now, I want to do something new. I don't know what it. I didn't know what it was for a long time until I took this time back to kind of like reassess everything. Because I'm still working with Critical. Don't like take that away. I'm still doing that music as well. But I was like, I want to try and challenge myself now, because I've been again exploring that sound like deeply for 5 years, and I'm like, I want to see what the next thing is. So yeah, I am on working on a side project under a new name.
Oh, here we go. We've got a bit of an exclusive right here.
Well, other than that's all you're getting, to be fair.
I was about to say, like,
no, that's all you get. Is
it a donk alias?
Oh, I wish, but no, it's not. I wish I was good enough to make donk, but that stuff's just so powerful. No, it's still drum and bass, but it's a sound that I wanted to explore. It is a style that's I've never heard before. I don't know anyone that's doing it. I feel like there's a gap in the market for it, so I was like, I'm going to try and do it. But it's very far away from the work that I've put into making Levela where it is. So it was kind of like, all right, well, let's do a new name. I mean, for the record, none of this is released yet, but it's sitting there. There's like an album's worth of music. Wow. I've got the name, the logo, the brand, and everything's ready to go.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And you're feeling again energized by.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's a far away from what Levela is now, as in the Critical sound. But yeah, it's exciting. It's just been a fun project to work on, where I feel like when no one knows who I am, there's no rules to it. There's no, like I said, like expectations from it, because I feel like that with Levela, I'd have to, like I said, I feel like there's expectations when I know that there's labels that want music from me and stuff, and I feel like I have to work within the Levela framework, if that makes sense.
And the drum and bass framework as well, which can be...
Exactly. It's very, that formulaic. I hear you know. And so that's why I felt free making this new project, because I kind of chucked the rule book out the window. I just like, that sounds cool. I would never do that as Levela, because it's so wrong. But this new name can do it, because no one knows it's me. And I'm treating it like a totally separate person creating this other project. I mean, I'm going to see... I don't really know how it's going to be released and stuff. I'm talking to a few labels and stuff at the moment. But I may reveal if I'm the same guy down the line. I don't know. We'll see how well it does. I guess, if it flops, then I'll forget about it. But if it blows up, it's me. I'll take all the credit.
I mean, it can be difficult. I mean, I guess it's that thing, isn't it, between like doing what you want to do to trying to do stuff for the audience, and that it's a real fine balance between... Mate.
It's a very fine line, yeah. Similarly with DJing as well, I guess. Like, there's a fine line between like an artistic vision and being true to yourself as an artist, but then your job is also to please a crowd. That's ultimately what you're there to do, is make that crowd enjoy themselves, give that crowd a good time. So, there is a fine line between trying to please yourself and please others, and it's a tightrope.
I was going to say, I mean, for you as well, do you still get booked for Jump Up events, or not as much now?
Not as much.
Like, how does that work? Have you had people kind of surprised when they come and see you and they're like,
I do.
This isn't what I expected.
Especially more so abroad, because
if you play in Belgium, right?
Yeah, absolutely, in Belgium. I'll always have to play Jump Up in Belgium, but there's certain gigs I'll do that, and I'll come home and then Instagram message the next day and it's like, oh, you didn't play any Jump Up. I only love you because of your old Jump Up. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, like I don't know what to say. That's just not me anymore. But I did actually play a show in Belgium last year called Criticals.
I know those.
And they booked me. They was like, we want to do a Levela classic Jump Up set. Where you play what you was doing. Because I should have probably mentioned, in that Jump Up period of my life, Belgium was huge for Jump Up.
That era, 2012, 13.
Yeah. 2013, I think it was. I'd done 40 gigs in Belgium in 1 year. That's how crazy it was.
What?
It was almost every
What's going on?
every
What was going on?
the scene was just blowing up over there. They loved Jump Up and they loved the UK sound of it. And there wasn't hardly any producers from Belgium making that sound at the time. So every single weekend there was like me, Mackie G, Gov, Turno,
Headaches.
Dominate. Oh yeah, Headaches kind of come into it as well a bit later on. But yeah, it was us every weekend. We were on the Eurostar going to do another show.
All right, lads, we're back again.
Yeah, and it was. And it was almost as like that. It was.
It's quite a surreal time, actually, if I remember back to that. Like you're saying, like all these UK artists, but it was very specifically the Jump Up guys.
Yeah, they just
playing big shows.
Yeah, they were really big shows, and that's where there was a weird contrast between I'd go to Belgium and I'd be like the headline act at an event for 5,000 people, along with like a big old Jump Up lineup with it, and it was this huge thing. And then the next day I'd come home and then I'd be playing in like room 2 in Bristol because I wasn't big in the UK yet. I hadn't really much of a name for myself. My sound definitely blew up bigger abroad. I was working abroad a lot more than I was in the UK in terms of playing shows. That kind of changed when the sound changed as well, because I feel like my newer sound is more UK friendly, I guess. And
I kind of want to say that the Belgium scene, although it's still there, it's not.
It's not the same.
It's not like they don't have the frequency of Jump Up parties.
No, I mean the sound itself has changed a lot. The Belgian Jump Up, I guess, has kind of got its own subgenre of bass now. As the Belgian Jump Up is different to Jump Up.
And well, they've got the Belgian guys coming through now.
Yeah,
well,
and that's the other thing that they didn't have at the time we were going over there a lot. There wasn't any homegrown producers. Obviously, we were kind of like, I guess, coming over and showing the UK sound has kind of inspired that next generation of Belgian producers now, because there's some guys over there that are killing it, like Bass Tripper and all them guys that are doing really well. And yeah, it's nice to know that I guess I was kind of a part of the birth of that, I guess, because I remember the first Belgian show I played was for guys called City Flow, Antwerp City Flow, and they said to me that we just love Jump Up music and we're going to try and bring Jump Up to Belgium. And then me and I think it was J-Line and Dub Zero, we were the first 3 to go and play the first event. And yeah, I've kind of been, I mean, drum and bass has been in Belgium for a long time. A lot of the legends used to play there.
Level.
No, but not the Jump Up movement that took over Belgium. Yeah, I was a part of that birth of it. And it was really sick to be a part of it, to watch it grow. And now you've got all these homegrown artists that are selling out their hometown shows with Belgium DJs, and it's brilliant to see.
With their own specific genre.
Yeah, they've created their sound and their own Belgian Jump Up. And yeah, I like any whether or not I like the music or personal taste or aside, I respect it so much. Like you've created and built a scene. And yeah, they go nuts for it over there, the Jump Up stuff.
It's crazy, kind of like the rabbit holes it goes down, or how something can catch on somewhere.
Yeah,
and
it just
take a life of its own.
Absolutely, and it just sort of spiraled into this thing now. So then when I got asked to do a classic Jump Up set, I was like, yeah, 100%. I was like, I'd love to. I've not played like that my old level of stuff for 4 years or whatever it's been. And yeah, I had so much fun. Like, it was in one of my favourite venues called Entrepot in Bruges, and yeah, it was packed, and yeah, I was just
in before a lot of people from Belgium are going to be watching this. I mean, like, I want to book a Leveler Jump Up. So.
Yeah, I'm in. Shout my agent. Yeah,
I want to be on that Eurostar again, like living like old time.
So yeah, it was the Belgium scene. Yeah, that was a real. It's got a special place in my heart, Belgium, and the scene and everything connected to it.
Cool. I do want something I did want to ask, because I don't know quite what's going on. So obviously you've been running multifunction in Volks now.
Yep.
You are just specifically really a Volks.
Yeah.
Only. I know you try to go about and do a few things.
Yeah, I mean,
do a few takeovers and things.
Yeah, we've done like a few like label invites and stuff with other brands in different places. When Multifunction was a label, that's when I was really trying to push the touring side of it. Like I said, we've done the Rampage thing for 5 years of Multifunction. We've done a few other Belgium shows with Murdoch, who runs Rampage. He sort of linked up Multifunction events in Belgium. And we were trying to just bring our movement and our sound, because it's mainly like me, J-Line, Hizzle Guy, Freak. These guys were like exclusively working with us. And we were like us 4, 5, 6 acts or whatever there was. We were just trying to play everywhere and take our sound, and we set it up a thing called the Multifunctions, the MF Showcase. It was like a set. Like there's 3 of us and our host MC, and as soon as we announced that, I remember we got like 10 bookings in the first day of announcing it. It was like, wow, okay, people do actually want to see what Multifunction's about. And yeah, we tried to tour it as far and wide as we could, but the Volks was always our home. That's where we kind of had a residency, I guess. And yeah, it was every 2 or 3 months we've done parties there. And yeah, I love the Volks, man, as you know. Like, it's
who doesn't love the Volks?
It's the mecca of D&B on the South Coast. I love it. I mean, we've done other shows in Brighton. We've done a couple at the Arch, done a couple at Concord too. But ultimately, the Volks it's our home.
Yeah, because and then obviously you've expanded it now, doing Sundays, which was like the Volks' first, or I'd say it's the first, at least one of the first drum and bass day parties that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that just came off the back of a conversation over summer, and that when I think it was Jerome, the guy, the events manager.
Oh no, Jerome! Big up Jerome.
Anyone that's played at the Volks knows Jerome, and Jerome's definitely got them drunk.
The living legend. He's from Belgium. I don't know. We got more Belgians.
So yeah, he remember chatting to me outside the club one night, and he was like, "Yeah, all of this space, like we own this. Like during the day and in summer, we have tables and chairs as a cafe." And I was like, "Have you ever thought about doing a party out here?" And he was like, "Well, we do certain outdoor events, but there's never really
it's like the skinheads. And,
yeah, they do like a mod weekend.
Mod weekend.
The mod weekend for all the mopeds and stuff. So they do like outdoor events, but they're never really
but not even those are all like people sat outdoors. They're not DJs outdoors.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what the idea was like. Okay, so how about if we put decks over there and we put the fence around here and we could put a sound system here? We could fit like 500 people out here. And the drone was like, we've never done it, but let's do it. And then that was it. The first Sundays was born. And at the time, there was no other daytime drum and bass events in Brighton, especially not open air. And yeah, I mean, the first one we did, it sold out like 3-4 months before. And yeah, there was a waiting list on Ticket Swap of like hundreds of people waiting to get tickets. And we was like, oh, we're onto something here. And it went really well. I remember we had, the first year was they had Hybrid Minds, back when they were like a couple of £100 to book, long before Touch came out and they blew up. Yeah. We had them, we had AMC, me and Turno went back to back with X-Man, and I think Chris. Yeah, the lineup was stacked. Like, it would cost you 20 grand plus to book that lineup now. But yeah, and luckily, I've working in this industry for so long, I've made a lot of friends and acquaintances within the scene, so I can get mates rates here and there. I'm like, oh, I'd come play our event for a bit cheaper than you normally would. And that has helped Multifunction grow, because we do get the chance to book, I guess, more artists and put on bigger lineups due to... but my connections within the scene.
Nice.
Same as I've worked a long time with agents as well, and agents kind of, if you're an artist in the scene or you're in the scene, they treat you a bit different to just anyone putting on a party kind of thing. So I do feel like that. I don't really know where I'm going with this,
well, I think playing a show like that as well, where it's very unique and it's kind of good.
Yeah, and it was a new vibe, and it was something that artists wanted to come and play at. And so I said the first year sold out. It was no question we'll do it next year. Next year sold out. And it was, every year we've done it. We just try and put on varied lineups, catering to kind of every corner of the scene. And we always schedule it and timetable the sets so that the sound just gets progressively harder as the night goes on. So we'll always start off with the more deep rollers into a bit of liquid, and then it'll go into a bit of jungle, and then there'll be it just kind of like
the jump up starts.
last set we go as noisy as possible. But that's what I love about Sundays as well, is that it's we see the event as a musical journey. Is we want to encapsulate every corner of the drum and bass scene rather than just ramming it with liquid acts or just ramming it with jump up acts. We want to go full circle. So any people that come to Sundays, they get to experience every element and every corner of the scene, and that's an ethos that we've always stuck with. And right now we're in the process of booking the lineup for this year's one, and we're sticking to the same formula.
No, and I have to give you hats off, because I think that it can be very easy. I mean, I'm guilty of it as anything. I mean, I have my own brand and label sound and whatever, but there's not so many events. I mean, especially not in Brighton. I think that can always do something quite as broad as that, like having Alex Perez on the same lineup as X-Man.
Which we did that. We did one year. Yeah.
So I mean, that doesn't happen as much these days.
Absolutely. So yeah, it was a really fun event to work on, and every year we change the layout of it and we work it a bit differently. Still just ironing any kinks out, anything that we'd like. Every time we do it, we always sit down afterwards. We're like, right, what are we going to do next year? What are we going to change for next year? And it's always evolving and it's always changing. And we've got some things that we're planning for this year, which we've never done before. So yeah, it's a really fun event to put together.
And this was actually kind of leading me on to one of my next questions, because I don't know quite what it is. I need to hopefully this podcast is going to come out in time, but I'm seeing that you're doing something called the lock-in.
Ah, yes.
And can you tell me what's going on? I don't know what's going on. I'm seeing this.
I probably can, because by the time this comes out, we would have announced more details. But yeah.
Or even maybe I need to, but what day?
It's on the 25th of February.
This will be out by then.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to announce more information about it before then. But
okay.
So all we've done at the moment is just teased an image of a cage. And it's called the Lock-In. It's a day event inside the Volks. Again, the Volks have never done daytime parties, but it's something that they were open to, especially over winter when it's closed during the day. So yeah, we come to them with an idea. And it's like, we've got this concept of not necessarily just copying others, but taking the inspiration of the 360 thing is popping off right now, right? Everyone wants to feel more involved, and that 360 thing, as soon as obviously Boiler Room did it and then other artists have done it, it's been around for a while, but especially within drum and bass, it's super popular at the moment. So we're kind of doing similar to that, but we're playing it around. We're going to encapsulate the DJ in a cage. And the DJ booth is going to be in a cage in the middle. And yeah, it's full 360 surrounds. You can go around the cage. You can see the idea is that, with them vibes when there's a big drop and the cage rattles, and we're going to have loads of lights attached to it and all sorts of like effects and stuff that we're going to bring in for this.
And this is going to be recorded and
yes, we're looking to film it all and put the sets online afterwards. And it will be. We're planning for it to be a regular thing.
I think, do you know what? I think I actually do land. I am going to be back in the UK.
Oh, you back that day, yeah?
I think I land on the 23rd, so...
You'll be jet lagged. Fuck that.
Well, yeah, we'll see how I'm feeling.
Calm down, man. Calm down. It should be a good laugh. It's something new for the Volks.
Are you going to be like announcing the acts as well?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I'm guessing you're playing.
I will be playing. We've got a few other special guests as well, which we will be announcing soon.
I have to say, right?
We're still working on it. We've got a couple of acts, but there's something else we're still trying to work on before I can announce the lineup, which is why it's not out just yet. But yeah, the concept is cool, and obviously, as you know, the size of the Volks, putting the decks in the middle is going to reduce capacity, so it's really limited capacity, and we want to try and treat it as like an exclusive thing that if you're not there and you want to be a part of it, you want to be there and witness the DJ in the cage with all the lights on them and you're all around it. And yeah, it's just a new concept that a fun twist on everyday parties and raving, I guess.
I like it. I mean, I think as well, I was going to say that I know Elliot is going to be very happy that the DJ's in a cage. Because when we did it, obviously been doing it with Jack, but when the DJ, people get so close to the decks, and that is one problem. I mean, you've seen on Boiler Room like a million times.
Exactly. There's always an
like the Fred again, infamous, like always, it is a real issue.
Yeah, it was actually the Volks idea to do the cage.
There's a surprise. It was Elliot's idea then.
Originally, we inquired about the whole 360 thing. It's like, could it be done in Brighton? And they were like, yeah, but equipment and drink spilling on equipment. And it was like, all right, we'll fence it off. All right, we'll just cage the whole DJ in, and it just kind of ran with the idea, and that's what we're on.
And are they? Are you building a cage, or are they building?
Together, we're going to build it in the morning. But yeah,
is it gonna start at the top, like when everyone gets in, and then like slowly lower down, like I'm thinking like WWE. Do you know what I mean? Like
brilliant. That'd be brilliant.
Lights flashing, like,
proper cage match.
Music coming down, and like it goes down.
The DJ gets their intro song. Yeah,
like smoke going up. Come on, that would be a spectacle. That would be a spectacle.
Folks is a bit small for them kind of theatrics, though.
yeah, maybe. You're on a budget. You're on a budget as well. I mean, I guess that's because the run times were like 3 p.m.
Yeah, we're going 3 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Okay,
and they're doing nighttime events. Afterwards.
You're not doing the night as well.
No. I think it's a donk night afterwards.
Yes, there we go. Is it donk line? Maybe it is. Yes,
it is.
Pick up the donk line.
Yes. So yeah, that should be really fun, and it's been a fun idea to work on. Just trying to do something a bit different because. Anyone, especially like local to Brighton, you'll definitely know the Volks. You've definitely been there, and most DJs have played there, and it's such a cool place. But we were like,
it's that thing as well. I mean, obviously they've got like the new sound system and everything, but like you're saying, it's the Volks, and it is the Volks for that reason. But again, it is like, how can you progress it? How can you innovate and try something different?
And that was it. After running the events for so long there, it was like, let's do something different. What else can we do? And then, we brainstorm between the team and we come up with this concept. And I'm really excited to see how it goes, to be honest. The tickets have gone mad, like just off the concept alone. And
so you haven't even dropped a lineup there, don't you?
No lineup's been announced. It's literally just been an image of the date, time, the cage, and a caption around something about surrounding the cage and see DJs or whatever. And that alone has sold a bunch of tickets. So people are excited to do something a bit different at the Volks.
And I think people obviously trust your brand. They know what you've been doing for a long time, so they know they're going to expect something special.
I'd like to think so, yeah. I feel like, we've done, next year will be 15 years since we set up Multifunction.
Crikey.
And so we'll be doing some sort of big birthday event, I'm sure. But we've been doing our thing for a long time with the events, and we've kind of, I guess, built the reputation of what we do at Multifunction. Yeah, so it's exciting to see how this one goes off.
No, mate, I think that's a really cool concept. I'm going to be there, hopefully as I'm not too jet lagged on the way back. I mean, it's only 3 till 10. Like,
it's a daytime as well.
I mean, that's a good thing as well, I guess. Like,
you'll be tucked up in bed by 11, unless you want to stick around for some donk.
Don't tempt me.
Don't tempt me with a good song.
All right, well, look, I feel like we've covered quite a lot.
We have a chat, don't we? It's good.
I mean,
we're chatting. Yeah.
I don't know where else we could go. I don't know. Have you got anything you want to still sort of touch on? Or, I mean, I guess, one thing I was kind of, obviously you're saying about the other project. I mean, what more can we expect for Levela? Kind of.
So
anything you can talk about? I don't know.
Yes, I've just polished off my next release for Critical, which is a 2-track release that's coming out early next year. I've got a remix of Ram Trilogy's Screamer, which has been doing the rounds, and again, messages almost daily asking when that's coming, because it was supposed to come out this year. But then Ram decided they want to push it onto vinyl, so it's delayed the release process a little bit. So that's going to be coming out this year for sure. And a few other projects that I'm working on. There's the other things.
Can we touch on it? Do you want to touch on it or not?
Cool. Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's fine. Okay,
so there's a Bang Bang bootleg I'd done of Nancy Sinatra, and I was playing it in my DJ sets. Again, it was just a quick one day. I got the idea. I was like, let me think of Baby Shot Me Down into drum and bass. Let's see if it works. I made a little bootleg of it, played it in my sets, and people asking me what it was. Gave it out to a bunch of DJs, and it was getting hammered. Like, I remember sending it out to like 50 DJs within the scene, thinking, no, it's just a bootleg, I can't do anything with it, so just give it to DJs to play out. I remember like the following Monday flicking through the Instagram stories, and I saw videos of like Break, Spy, Kings of the Rollers, Andy C, like everyone was playing that bootleg that weekend, and I was like, wow, it's nuts how nuts it's gone. And and I think Andy C is still now 3 or 4 years later playing it most sets. And we've got it. But because it was a remix and a bootleg, we couldn't do anything with it.
So it has sat in limbo for quite a while.
It's just been like a special to play in my sets until
somebody had an idea. Well, no, it's interesting actually, because I mean, nearly saying it's been out for like 4 years now.
I made it about 4 years ago. I made it just before.
I mean, would you say it's like one of your most, if not your most, kind of like sought after dubs?
It's that, and more recently the Screamer thing is getting a lot of messages about it, but before that, Bang Bang, every day without fail I'd get someone in some sort of inbox or DM going, is your Bang Bang out? Can I buy it? Is it released? Can you send it to me? If you're never going to release it, can I just have a copy? And it's cool to have like a track on the circuit that people really want to get hold of. So we're doing all we can and working what we can to actually get it out, which we're in the process of. I was literally working on it about 2 hours ago, so before I come here, because it's right now it's in the process of getting ready to bring out to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we probably shouldn't say too much. Maybe.
No, I
think maybe you'll get like maybe kind of like give some sort of, you have to allude to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping we will come out at some point. We just
see what happens.
See what happens at the moment. We just need to get it finished,
and then work out copyright.
Yeah, there's a lot of licensing. There's a bigger sort of system to work out and loopholes to jump through and stuff to get it legally released without getting sued. So we're
Get the Sinatra estate on your account.
Yeah, exactly. So we're working on that, but it's looking promising.
Good.
So yeah, that hopefully will come out this year as well. And then at the moment, like I said earlier about getting back into the swing of things, I've written more sort of sketches and ideas and starts of tracks in the last 2 weeks than I had in the last 6 months. So right now I am just banging the tunes out. I'm just so heavily in the studio with this new like fire in my tummy, and it's really nice to have that desire to. I wake up in the morning happy and I'm like ready to go in the studio. Whereas for a while I wasn't. I was treating it as like a slog, and I've got to sit in the studio for 8 hours again today, EQing snares. But not, I don't know why I was in that. Again, I was going back on it. I was just being run down put me in that mind state, because now I've had the chance to actually sit back and analyse the situation. I'm like, I'm an idiot for thinking that. I've got the bestest job in the world. I get to do what I absolutely love. It's all I'm good at. It's all I know how to do. And I want to be doing this for as long as possible. And I realised that I'm not going to, if I carried on in that bad mindset around it and see it and focusing on the negative aspects of the job rather than just celebrating all the positives. And that's what really turned my mindset around and given me this new ready to kick ass.
Levela 3.0.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like it is, because I treat the jump up stage as old Levela, and then there was the darker side, and then now it's whatever comes
See what
next.
happens, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, really interesting time then.
It is. I'm really excited for this year and the future. Yeah, just to, and of drum and bass in general as well. To be fair, I love this music, as I've said many times, but it's really exciting at the moment. There's some really exciting music being made, and I know
It's just gone massive.
It has.
Really, in a way that I don't think
it ever has
quite
before.
has.
No,
No.
there's waves, as all genres and especially genres, they come in waves. They have phases, they're popular, then they'll go underground. But right now, we're at a super high peak of, like, even I was at the Fright Night at Tully's Farm
Right.
Halloween, and
There's another Crawley reference.
and I was in the bar, and a drum and bass tune come on. It's that Goddard, Messy in Heaven.
Yeah, right.
That come on, and I'd only heard it a few times, but I was in a bar in Crawley town, and about 150 people were screaming all the lyrics, singing along and raving in this bar, and I was like, wow.
When is this happening?
And everywhere I went, even just that, it was a very commercialised event, but there was drum and bass everywhere, and that was just kind of strung home just how much people are listening to drum and bass at the moment. And then when they discover the more commercial artists and the really popular songs at the moment, once people hear that, and it might be drum and bass for the first time, they'll go, okay, well, what's this? I like this. Let me delve a bit deeper into it. And then that's when they discover the other artists and the other labels, and then they're like, oh, there's actually nights that play this stuff. And I feel like any time the scene blows is only a good thing, because it just means more people are going to eventually come into the scene. Like I said, right now there's millions of people listening to it on TikTok, but even if
I think that has been one of the biggest.
Massive driving
aspects for
force.
it.
Yeah, massive driving force is TikTok. And
You're on TikTok? Can we find Levela on TikTok?
I am on TikTok, and I don't use it as much as I should. I'm not great at creating all the content, but that's one of my jobs.
That's another goal.
Yeah, that's one of my goals for this year.
Well, look, we're going to be able to get plenty of good TikTok content out of this.
We
right
are.
now.
I'm snipping this clip right now. It's got on my the next video on my TikTok will be this.
It's going to go super viral.
I don't know where I was going with that, but the social.
No.
fun.
So you're saying it's a good time, and obviously
Yes.
you'd say you're sort of still as busy as ever. Still,
Yeah, like I've had.
bookings in and...
Yeah, I mean, this month I had off. I just didn't have any bookings booked in for January, which was nice considering I took the time off in December as well. So I was, in December I still had like 3 shows in the time that I wasn't working in the studio. I was still touring. But then between, I think it's the 27th of Jan to the 27th of Feb, it's 4 weeks. I've got 8 shows in 5 countries next month. So although I'm really appreciating
one extreme to the other.
yeah,
anyway.
it's like I've got January off and I'm enjoying not being dead out during the week, not having to leave home for a weekend. But from next month, touring gets pretty crazy again. And then this summer's lined up is looking wicked. Some cool.
Where can we see
festivals.
you this summer?
I'm doing Liquidity Festival, which
Okay.
I did in 2018. I think 2019, and it was one of the best festivals I've ever played.
Belgium Jump Up set.
No, it's just doing what? It's just the normal me set, which is still good. You should still come and check the sets out. But yeah, Liquidity was really cool. I mean, we're closing it down. The year I played it, Andy C was on the main stage last set, and I was on the second stage last set. I'm thinking, I looked at the schedule and I was like,
oh no,
my tent's going to be
against
empty.
Andy.
Yeah, no, I'm coming up against Andy. No one's going to want to see me over Andy. Stepped on stage, there was 3,000 people. Tent was packed for me, and it was really, really, it was one of them gigs that will always stay with me. So they've invited me back this year, which I'm super excited about. I'm doing Rampage Festival this year, back at Let It Roll again. Yeah, it's going to be a cool summer.
Wicked.
Really cool summer.
No, well, mate, look, it's awesome to see. I tell you what, well, I won't keep you too much longer because I know that you probably have to get back. I mean, one thing I did want to, a couple of things I wanted to sort of say, or one thing I thought could be an interesting thing, because obviously as someone that has, I could say, made it, I know we use that term a bit loosely, because when you're on the inside, it can seem a bit odd, but obviously, look, you do this as a full-time profession. What advice to anybody listening out there that kind of would like to do it as a full-time, if someone is out there?
Yeah.
What kind of words of wisdom? Obviously, I know that's quite...
No, that's well, man.
Right.
Yeah. A good thing is knowing your worth, I think, to an extent, in two different ways. Not just in the sense like, if you're big, know your worth. I'm talking about if you're not quite where you should be yet, know your worth in your place. Because what I see a lot of times online, and if I see comments, and it's normally by like bedroom DJs that are trying to get out there, and they're like, oh, I won't go and do this gig for free. Exposure doesn't pay the bills. And it's like, if you want this to be your job, you got to put yourself out there. You need to be working, taking every opportunity you possibly can to build up to a position that people don't see you as an exposure artist. If they valued you as a bigger artist that's worth a value, they will pay you for it. But what I see is a lot of DJs that, I don't really know any of these guys, but it's comments I see online or whatever, that kids have got a controller, they've had a few videos on TikTok, and they think that they're going to get £500 a set when they go and DJ everywhere. And it's like, that's not the reality of it. The reality is just knowing your position, because if you jump the gun and start demanding money for your sets before you're actually worth that money, the promoters aren't going to book you.
All ready to handle a crowd.
Yeah, exactly. You've kind of got to learn to cut your teeth in this industry. If you just want the experience of playing out, reach out to your favorite promoters and say, look, I'm happy to come along. I've been to a few of your nights or whatever. I like what you do. Give us a slot to, can I play opening set or something? Don't start asking for money, because you're shooting yourself in the foot. If you're at a position that you're worth that money, like I said, the promoter will come to you and be like, I want to pay you to do this. And that's one big thing I see is a lot of artists feel like they should be earning money it takes a long time to get any money out of this industry. I say it takes a long time of working and honing your craft before you're in a position to earn from it. But if you work hard enough, you can earn from it. So that's the best advice I've got for anyone wanting to get into this industry as a career. Is just hard work. It's the only thing that's going to get there. A lot of people say that, oh, it's who you know, and it's not necessarily. You can be in lucky positions that you can have an opportunity present itself to you. If you're lucky, it can help.
But if you work and put yourself out there.
Exactly. If you the harder you work and the harder you put yourself out there, the more you're giving yourself chance for a bigger opportunity. So yeah, if you're sitting at home just mixing in your bedroom, the opportunities aren't going to come to you. If you're out in the club handing out your demos or whatever, or trying to get people's emails to network, and then yeah, the more you hustle and work, the more you'll get out of this. So that's the best bit of advice I can give, is that hard work does pay off.
But also take a break every now and again.
Oh yeah. Don't work too hard.
yeah. Balance. There's always a balance.
Absolutely.
Okay, well look, man, this has been a really, really cool chat, and I'm really, really pleased to have you on for the first guest.
Thank you for having me, man. Like I said, we've been talking about this, and it was an idea that we put together, and it was good to be here. So yeah, thanks for having me.
All good. Where can people find you online? If they're not following, I mean, you should already. If anyone's watching this, they should already be following Levela. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, the usuals.
At Levela, pretty much all of them.
Just a search at Levela. I'm pretty sure my page comes
Search Levela up
on each app. I'm probably sure my page will come up. But yeah, give us a follow.
Give us a follow. And look, anyone that you'd like to big up, thank, or give any time to while you got the open mic.
Seeing as we've kind of gone through my story, I've got to big up my mum. Like, without her support and constant just believing in me. And if you want to do something in music, you absolutely can do it. And giving me every resource to do it. Like, she bought my first decks eventually when my brothers broke. And yeah, she bought me my software, drove me up and down the country. So yeah, I've got to big up my mum. I wouldn't be doing any of this without her.
I mean, like, I've seen your mum at a number of multifunction events on the door. Like,
she used to run the door for us at the events before she got too old. She felt too old to do that. Yeah, she did used to really help out. And yeah, my wife for giving me the opportunity to do what I do. And yeah, my kids and all cheesy stuff like that.
I like thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, and yeah, big up Pete for having me in here. And yeah, big up to people like you that run the labels and you put this content together and you create things for other people. I said you do your events and you tour it, and they're the people, the ground roots people that are helping keep this scene alive is the ones I want to big up. So yeah, people like yourself and
big up me, basically.
Big up Pete. Yeah.
No. Don't let it go to my head. Go on, keep me grounded. Keep me grounded.
Yeah, that's who I want to big up. The people that are keeping the small events going and booking. Like the little people, the promoters that put on 200 cap venues just because they want to grow a scene, they're the ones that are keeping this scene alive, and they're the ones that deserve all the big up, because it's all good. There's like these huge events with tens of thousands of people and all the headliners, but the underground grassroots venues is really where the underground
base.
Yeah,
base.
Exactly. That's
you get to see it all, I guess, as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do get to travel and see these different venues, and they're the ones that are keeping drum and bass alive, in my opinion. So yeah, big up all promoters that are putting on the events. And labels are part of the music. And yeah, the ravers that buy it. And that stuff, man. So yeah, big up everyone that's involved in the drum and bass scene.
I think that's a great note to end it on. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you haven't already, do go check out what this man does. I don't know which camera I'm looking at right now. We're looking at one of the cameras. I got all three here. Yeah, go find him. Go listen to his music. Go buy his music. Go support this man. If he's playing at a show coming up, go and see him. I haven't got much more to say. Thank you very much, Levela.
Big up.
Big up. I can think. Oh,
that was fun.
No, mate. That was really, really good.
Yeah. I don't even know how long we went on for.
I reckon that was at least a good.
Or so, wasn't it?
Well, no, maybe an hour and a half.